สวัสดีค่ะ and welcome to Morning Thailand อวรรณสอนเครือหงส์
And I'm Thanannapat Noyvian. Good morning, and you're watching the news edition on Wednesday, October the 9th, 2013. And of course, as usual, we got a lot of highlights and news reports to cover this morning, especially the developments in the political arena.
Now, of course, apart from that, I mean, if you watch Thai television with your fellow, it could be your colleagues or your friends, your family, you will see last night,
The
at
program,
10, the program talk show called At 10, they invited the former monk, a very famous monk, Mitsuo. Kaew, of course, right now he's no longer a monk, but he still make front page, and of course he went with his wife, Kun Ann, who's also a very, I would say, well-known businesswoman. She's had a quite successful clinic in terms of doing,
The
take care of
beauty
beauty
clinic.
clinic. Exactly. Now, of course, as you can see in the picture
Wow, look
there.
at that.
Yeah, they're looking very, and this is like this is the program where they actually got invited to talk a little bit, and what they are talking about is the two books that Kun Mitsuo launched. Now, Kun Mitsuo, of course, at this point, his name used his previous last name of Shibahashi, so we can call him, I guess, Mitsuo Shibahashi now, no longer Kaew.
Mr.
Exactly.
Shibahashi.
Yep. And Kun Suttirat Muttamara. Now, of course, the two books, first one say that his inner feelings from Mitsuo. He calls himself in the book saying พระอาจารย์ Mitsuo. So technically, he's still kind of implying that his own feeling while he was, in monkhoods and such. So the first book will talk about their love story, about how it's come about how it wasn't, like a lot of people has been talking about, claiming that they were together physically before he left the monkhood. That wasn't the case. So the story will actually portray, explaining to us what has happened during the time. Now, of course, another book talking about the last sermon that he had on the 8th, and this is when just right before he decided to leave the monkhood, obviously.
Because obviously, the woman herself has been undergoing a lot of criticism and judgment, most of them negative judgment, because some people have talked about blackmailing, poisoning.
Oh yeah, and well,
Abducting.
They would they think that he was lured into this, but obviously he's 62.
He was just a man in love, I guess.
Exactly. And so the last sermon was the 3 preaching that he did on the 8th of June. And so they're, including all the details about what he has talked about that day and such. So still, both of them said that, he is now become a good Buddhist. He might not be a monk anymore, but he's still a Buddhist, and he will carry on Buddha teaching and such. Now, of course, he said that he would like people to understand that he has the feeling that she was the one that, destined for him. And that is why he decided to leave the monkhood instead of tarnishing it. And we have showcased that before. Now, Kun Ann, of course, said that they met for the first time on February the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, oddly enough. Now, of course, she said that they met again on the 24th, and then afterward, of course, she has a beauty clinic and is, look in terms of health and such as well. And Mitsuo was actually, Kun Mitsuo, he was actually having the diabetes, a little bit of a problem. So he took a course, with the clinic. Therefore, it's allowed them to meet each other a little bit more, and they feel the connection in the 2 months that they were spent together. And that's when he decided to say that, all right, let's do this, because the feeling just built up.
And Kun Ann admitted that she was very shocked when Mr. Mitsuo revealed that he was living the monkhood. just to
Yeah.
be with her.
Exactly. And she even asked him, she said that, whether or not that's a sin for her, because technically a lot of people would say that she's the one that caused him his, 38 years of being a monk. And he said, no, it's because, we have good feelings among each other and it's mutual. So technically that's not a sin.
So that should be another side of the story after a lot of criticism during the past months. And it's the time that they decided to reveal the truth to the public because they did not want to live in, gossiping any longer.
Exactly. So if you want to know a little bit more about their lives, you can actually have someone, I guess, translate it for you. I don't think it's in English yet, but still, I'm pretty sure that is going to be a good discussion, especially the second book when talking about the last sermon on the, his last sermon,
Of course.
Sermon, which is 3 preachings on that day, on the 8th of June. So pick up the book and see what it's all about.
However, news reports say that now Mr. Mitsuo has faced some kind of objection from his former followers at the temple.
Yeah, because a lot of them, obviously, when you talk about followers with faith, it's hard for a lot of people to try to comprehend and understand, this situation. But all in all, I think that, like I said, he did not do it during the time he was in monkhood with the rope and such. So this should be a good thing. And all the monks, if you feel like you can no longer, being a monk and you need to be with someone else, then at least leave the monkhood and do it.
It takes time.
Exactly.
Anyway, moving on to another story. If you remember, there's a case of a robbery at the SCB Bank branch in Big C Superstore in Nawanakon district of Pathum Thani province on September the 29th, where the bank thief pretended to be a regular bank client before he held up a gun threatening the bank staff to hand him a certain amount of money and ran away with 100,900 baht in cash. And according from the footage from CCTV cameras last week that the police have revealed, the robber was quite clearly identifiable and his face was clearly seen in the footage as well. So police have asked for help from the public. If anyone has any information or tip-off, they can call the police hotline number. And that led to the arrest of the suspects, the information about his whereabouts, and a good Samaritan has called the police hotline so they can arrest this suspect, Kun Pichichai Sitabut, age 27, in Sa Kaew province. And Kun Pichichai confessed that he was a factory worker in Nawanakon industrial estate before. However, at that time, he was in need of money to pay for his debt from gambling. So he decided to commit a crime. And after the incident, he went into hiding at his father's home in Sa Kaew province. He also confessed, that earlier on August the 25th, he committed a robbery at the 7-Eleven store before in Pratu Nam Phra Inracha branch of Ayutthaya province, and he successfully ran away with 2,000 baht in cash. So 2 cases with this. We got to say that he was very daring because it happened during the broad daylight.
Of course, like
in
of late,
superstore.
Of late, when we see the news about robberies, it seems that a lot more people, and it's not a gang member either. It's almost like individual,
on his own.
Exactly, individual, action and such, and decided to just go by themselves and just do it. So, and it becomes way too easy. So I think at this point, the police gonna have to look a lot more into this particular case to see whether or not they could prevent this kind of thing from happening again, because it's happened way too much. Right. Moving on to another case, I reported about the 17-year-old girl that was lured via Facebook and of course was killed in Chonburi province, obviously. And I said that the culprit were actually arrested already, but there's a lot of investigation afterwards. So finally, the report has come out talking about Kun Mana Lit Laksa. He already confessed to the crime and explained to us what has happened. He said that obviously he's 51 years old. He claimed to the girl that he was only 30, and he gave her the false picture of probably someone else. So at this point, Kun Pawina Hongsakul, the Minister of the Social and Human Development, has already talked about, the situation and said that they will actually look into this case and press it to the fullest, because this is one of the cases that's probably should be showcasing in terms of warning all the parents out there as well as guardians to make sure that your children are strictly monitored at this point, due to the fact that when you give them technology and there's no filters, sometimes this kind of thing could have happened. Now, Kun Mana obviously escaped the hospital because he, during the time the hospital was flooded, so the police that look after him has to go and help out. So he kind of sneaked out, but they eventually be able to arrested him. Now they say that right before the officials actually take him away into the car to take him to the prison, he gave his mother, Kun Chaloi Lit Raksa, a hug for the last time. But obviously, for the victim's mother, that's not going to happen anymore for her. So this is one of the things that quite sad. Now they say that according to Kun Mana say that they were he did it because out of jealousy, because he said that he slept with the victims. However, obviously at this point he did not say that she was raped. He just said that it was consent, but obviously the police gonna have to look into this again. However, he said that the victim obviously did not say much, and when is quite a lot of concern because they're 34 years apart, but the victim didn't show any sign of showing affection and such. So he got really upset. So he pretty much attacked the victim. She actually fell and hit her head and just kind of knocked out. So he was afraid that she would pass away at the time already. So to make sure, he used the one of those cleaner, the toilet cleaners, to pour down her throat, and that's why there were some burn mark in her throat itself as well when the police were doing autopsy. At this point, he is charged already and he is in the prison. But once again, the minister Kun Prawina said that this is one of the cases that all the adults and guardians needs to be a lot more careful in terms of how to monitor the usage of technology that you have given to your child at this point. And obviously it's go as early as 7-10 years old, because we have seen children these days have smartphones and you can get easy access just as long as you have Wi-Fi. So unless you have any kind of software and such to prevent them to visit certain website and such, that could be one of the cases that you have to look into to monitor them a little bit more.
Yes, of course, that's one thing that parents have to taking a great care and attention to their children as well. Now, there's a case here involving a very well-known figure in entertainment industry. This happened back in the year 2004, Kun Gop, and this news had made quite a big headlines from the media and also the public alike, especially teenagers during the 90s, because it involved the former pop singer Kun Pornpan Ratanamethanon or Joyce from the duo pop band Triumph Kingdom or TK.
Of course.
And we got to admit that she was one of the very popular and famous pop singers at that time.
It was my time.
Seriously?
Yeah,
it was
I danced
mine
her
as well.
song. So, that was kind of a big shock.
Yeah, and that's Kun Pornpan or Joyce, age 32 now, and she got arrested in the year 2004, November 2004 together with her boyfriend, and police found more than 4,000 methamphetamine pills in their possession with intent to sell, and the couple allegedly confessed during interrogation that they are involving with the drug trade. So the lower court in December 2005 had sentenced the former pop singer to 12 years in prison and a fine of 510,000 baht. And she got one more additional prison term for driving under the influence of alcohol charges as well, while her boyfriend, Kun Jitapat Sangkhasuwan, age 33, got a life sentence and a fine of 1.2 million baht. However, both of them had their prison terms reduced by 1/3 for giving useful information and testimony. And the couple decided to appeal. The appeals court in 2007 sentenced Kun Pornpan to 33 years in jail, 33 years and 5 months.
Wow.
And a fine of 800,000 baht, while Kun Jitipat got 33 years and 4 months and a fine of 800,000. However, after the appeals court's verdict, the two took their case to the Supreme Court, and at this phase, yesterday the Supreme Court had reversed the sentences handed to the couple at the beginning and reverting to the ruling given to them. So Kun Pornpan will get 8 years in jail. 8 years in jail, and also 1 more month for the charges of driving under the influence of alcohol. However, it seems that she had been serving the jail sentence for 8 months and 10 years. 8 years and 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 years and 10 months. So that's probably mean that she will have to proceed with the legal charges afterwards.
Right.
And yesterday her family had paid the fine money, and also she got freed.
Okay, so
at around 7 p.m. last night. She got arrested finally, and at the court hearing yesterday in the afternoon, Kun Bo Suratanawi Suwiporn, Bo TK, her duo from the TK band, had been in the court hearing as well, waiting for the court's deliberation, and she gave interviews to the reporters that she had been visiting her friends quite often.
Okay.
And they had been in touch, and she talked about Kun Joy's condition yesterday, that Kun Joy seems to be undergoing a lot of stress before the court hearing. However, she was happy for her, and she was asking the public to forgive for what she did.
Well, she already served her jail term, that's for sure.
And Kun Pornpan has already showed remorse already. Kun Boy Kosiyapong, the producer and the owner of Bakery Music, which is the record label of these two duo bands, said that he had already forgiven for what she did, and there's a possibility that she will be back in the entertainment business in the future.
Interesting. All right. Now, with that, we're going to take a short break. Of course, we have a lot more interesting news, including the flood situation to report, so please stay tuned.